Good evening, everybody. This is the Goffstown Economic Development Council meeting. It is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. For all those who are looking to view this, we can view it on Comcast channel 22 to view this meeting. So we're going to start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
with
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. In accordance with the emergency order number 12, I'm going to read the right to know checklist. So just bear with me as I mumble through this. So, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to the executive order 20-04, the Goffstown Economic Development Council Committee will utilize the emergency meeting provisions of RSA 91A to conduct meetings through electronic means while preserving, to the extent feasible, the public's right to notice of such meetings and ability to observe and listen contemporaneously. Public access meeting by telephone call 603-766-JOIN 5646. Participant code 785-645 # or hashtag. Problems with access. Residents experiencing problems with access during the meeting are asked to call 603-384-3624. Access this meeting by watching live on Goffstown Television Channel 22 or on the GTV Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Goffstown TV. Facebook will not be monitored for the public participation during public comment. Residents interested in participating in public comment shall call the public telephone access number. Town of Goffstown Right to Know Law meeting checklist. As chair of the Goffstown Economic Development Council and Development Committee, due to COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with the Governor's News Emergency Order number 12 pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant of the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The town is utilizing the WebEx platform for the electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting through dialing following number 603-766-JOIN 5646 and using the participation code 785-645 followed by the # or hashtag. Providing public notice of necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public on how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the posted agenda. Providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are any problems with access. If anybody has problem with the telephone access, please call the meeting. If you are, please call 603-384-3624. Adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and we'll have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during the meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance, which each member states their presence. Also state whether there is anyone in the room during this meeting, which is required under right to know law. Did you guys get all that?
Yes.
All right. All right.
Hey, can I ask a question? Can everybody please mute until they speak? Because there was a lot of scraping going on and all kinds of noise in the background when you were reading that. It was not clear. So if people can mute, that'd be great.
Thank you, Bonnie. All right. Well, we're going to start by taking roll. Joanne Duffy. Chet Bowen.
Chet Bowen, Select Board Rep, and I'm the only one in the room.
Gail.
Gail Lebrecht, member and recording secretary, and I'm the only one in the room.
Jonathan Napoli.
Jonathan Napoli, member, and I am the only one in the room.
David. Okay. Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie Gaven, Vice Chair, and I'm the only one in the room.
Ellen? All right, we'll go to Mark.
Mark Stevens, alternate member, and I am the only one in the room.
All right. Greg Rodriguez, Chair, and I am the only one in the room. Okay. So let's we have enough for a quorum. So good. All right. So we're going to start by with the approval of or correction of the minutes. Does anybody have anything to talk about? I don't believe we met on 8/5, right, Joanne?
No, last month, we did not have a meeting.
Okay. So
Mr. Chair,
sure. Chet?
can I just be briefly recognized for a moment before we start the
Sure.
official agenda?
Yeah.
I'm going to make the safe assumption that I can speak for the entire board in offering condolences to the Tower family and the Goffstown Fire Department on the sudden and tragic loss of Captain Stephen Tower on August 31st. Real devastating blow to the community. If anyone is interested in attending the wake or the funeral, all of that information is posted online by the Goffstown Fire Department, and it's also on Facebook posted by the Goffstown Fire Department. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
If
Chet.
I could just add, and our sincerest condolences to Garrett Tower, who works at the town hall in the IT department, who was Steve's son, or who is Steve's son.
Thank you, Joanne and Chet. That is very sad news and very unfortunate. Sorry to hear that. I know I can speak for this committee when we can all offer our condolences for the life lost for Garrett Tower. So do we want to approve and accept the minutes from our July meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July.
Do I have a second? on that
Ellen
motion?
seconds.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
That was Ellen.
Okay, that was Ellen second. Okay. Gail? You're muted. Yeah.
Yes?
All right. Jonathan?
Yes.
Bonnie? Yeah. Mark?
Yes.
Chet?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Ellen seconded. I don't know if I need to ask her, but I also vote yes. So motion carries to approve minutes. So now on to the meat and potatoes with our business plan. So just talking with Joanne briefly, and we were wondering what business is going to be doing this fall for any social distance events. I know the pumpkin regatta is one of the biggest events for the town. Are there any plans moving for this fall that we could possibly help them with for businesses, especially down in the village?
Mr. Chair, during the select board meeting on Monday, there was a conversation about the pumpkin regatta and how that's going forward. And right now, there are certainly a lot of question marks. I know that Main Street is going to be meeting, I believe it's next week, to start to have more thorough conversations about that. So we'll certainly keep that, we'll be updated on that. And hopefully at that point, we can offer whatever assistance is necessary. And I believe that we should.
I think if they do decide to hold this year, I think it'd be good for us to all, be present during that time. It just, we can, I don't know how we could make it possible while social distancing, but maybe have a table or, a tent area saying this is the Economic Development Council and, this is what we're trying to do. And you're even to show our mission and goals of what we're trying to do to improve, the downtown in Pinardville for Goffstown. I don't know if that's, go ahead, Joanne.
I was just going to say, I did speak with Ellen, and I believe
Okay.
the Main Street Board is having a meeting this Thursday evening to
Okay.
talk about that issue.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Do we know?
Yes,
Yes.
Ellen.
Okay. I don't know which one of these buttons puts me on. Yes, the Main Street Board is meeting tomorrow evening. We've been tossing around, certainly not doing the 2-day event, big thing, and not doing the big regatta because it brings in literally thousands of people. We didn't see how social distancing it anyway could happen. We have been discussing doing a very small pumpkin something for a couple hours on a Saturday. I don't know if we're going to go forward with that, but I will have a decision tomorrow night. And we'll let Joanne and Derek and anybody else in town hall need to know. We are aware that we need to get all kinds of permits and all, that kind of stuff. Right now, I know we're not doing the 2-day event,
Okay, so it's just gonna be 1-day event on a Saturday for a few
if
hours.
anything, if
All
anything.
right. Okay, if anything, okay. Well, I was just looking forward to seeing, Selectman Bowen riding a pumpkin.
I'll second.
Next year, next year,
Next year, okay, good.
next year for sure.
Okay, well, anything, I know that's the biggest event, but is there anything else that's looking to be planned for this fall?
From Main Street, our next event is, and we're not holding a big event like we used to, Friday night under the lights. Main Street is sponsoring Lighting Up the Common. We have a tree and we're putting it up and we're going to have it lit like last year.
Okay.
But we're not going to do an event. I'm looking at possibly having GTV come down and broadcast it live so the community can see it, and then have it on tape on GTV. We're not looking at doing a big event at all. And then we're supporting Shop Small Saturday. There again, that's not a big event. So that's where we're at right now. The COVID's kind of done the same thing to Main Street as it's done to everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I know everybody's looking forward to the regatta and these events, and
Right.
we don't feel we can be doing much of anything. I'll have a thorough decision tomorrow night, one way or another.
Sure. Yeah, maybe we can join. We can throw that on the agenda for our October meeting. Either way, I mean, it's coming up, so I think it'd be good
Yeah.
for us to even put that in an email beforehand. We can coordinate as a group on what we
Okay.
should be doing. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anything else anyone want to add before we move on to the next item? No? Okay. I guess that kind of ties into the business plan for the fall season. So part of my thinking is even looking at, after cross-referencing our EDC goals, I think those kind of at this time, they're a little thrown out the window just because of what we're going through right now and what those businesses are going through. So, I think as we look to the fall and even to the winter and spring, how our business is going to be affected, because they're not going to be seating outside. Who wants to eat outside in 30-degree weather? How is this going to affect indoor dining and all those, all those little shops downtown? They're great and they're bustling right now, but how are the phases going to progress, especially during cold and flu season? So it's just an idea. It's just a thought to throw out there. And I don't know if we can fix it. I don't think we can fix it, but it's just maybe we can. I know we spoke in July about helping them with guidelines of especially individual business owners, and I'd still like to do that and pound some pavement. So maybe we can
Greg?
help them. Yep.
Yeah. Back in July, there was, I think I was supposed to get a call to give out
Flyers,
some
right?
type of application form to,
Yeah.
and the only single business owner that was their own employee that I could think of was Powden's at the time. I never got that call, so I'm wondering if those forms ever got out to the businesses.
I think
And
we're
if there's
talking about
anything
that.
happening now.
I can answer that, Ellen. So when we
Thank you.
talked, I had already sent out the flyers to the businesses that I had contacts with. And the problem was that the last funding was strictly for sole proprietor businesses or think that was it. There was no, it wasn't for the businesses like along Main Street, for instance. So there was no way for us to tell, going through all of the lists that we have, where these businesses were located. Most of them are just located out of their homes. And so we put it out on social media. We put it out on the town's Facebook page. But there really wasn't any way to narrow it down. So I did spread the word through Facebook, through social media, as well as the emails that I had. But it seemed to be like a waste of time for someone to go door knocking at that point. Most people, if you go up to their homes, they're not answering their doors. So I think the resources could certainly be put to better use. I have reached out to the business list with your questions, Greg, that you gave me the other day.
Yeah.
As, you know, the 3 questions like now, winter, and how can we help?
Yeah.
To see if anyone had any feedback. I told them we were having a meeting this evening, hoping that they would chime in. I said, we'd love to hear from you.
Right.
You know, it would be helpful. However, I'm sorry to report that I haven't heard from anyone.
Mhm.
I have been having separate conversations with the local businesses. And, you know, that's all I can help with right now is like a one-on-one sort of thing. But I don't know if we could even suggest maybe calling a meeting of some of the local businesses. I don't think we'll get a response at this point. I think they're putting all of their energy and efforts into their business. And, you know, I don't think they have time to come to a meeting.
Right.
So unless they reach out to us and say they need help, or we happen to just take a walk and go start kind of going into some of them. I did hear that and I don't know if there's any truth to this, that the mall where the Fun City is in Bernardville, apparently Fun City closed. I thought they were reopening, but now I've heard from someone that they didn't think that they were going to.
Mhm.
And the, I can never say this, Mikado restaurant, the Japanese restaurant, they are still closed.
Okay.
So I don't know where they stand right now. The Shaking Crab did open up again.
I did see that Fun City was
Joanne?
looking to do a daycare thing, like a remote learning
Oh, okay.
station. I don't know if that's still happening, but we feel like it was on Facebook or something. My wife told me about it, that they were going
Okay.
to do like a not a daycare. It was kind of like an after school but midday program type of thing.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I have a question, Joanne. I have a question. Do we have a list of every single business in Goffstown?
No, we have several lists. Some are older than others. I did also receive a list from Stephen Nino from the UNH Cooperative. And there are all these businesses on there that we really don't know whether they still exist. So I put together, I've expanded my email list quite a bit. And I was hoping to get some assistance. I asked Derek if we had anyone in town hall that might have some free time. And I don't know that that's possible. So I was hoping to get some assistance from someone or a few people who could call a few businesses a day to get their email address. I do have lots of phone numbers, but not their email addresses.
Right, so that's what I was going to recommend is that if we can get a list together of all the businesses in town, even the little onesie twosies, whatever they are, and then we can start calling them and get a complete compiled list. That would be so helpful,
Okay.
not just for you, but it would be also helpful for the town. I would be happy to make some of those calls. So if I can get a list, I would be happy to make some of those calls for
Okay.
you.
Thank
But
you.
I think we really need to compile that list and get it going.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? This might be just me not knowing some of the other committees that are out there, but do our local businesses have a chance to directly connect with state, Department of Health and Human Services to ask some of the questions about how they can open up their business? Is there a direct forum for them to connect with, Dr. Chan and their group?
Yes, there is a website that they can go to with many questions, and sometimes there are webinars held. And again, whenever I see that information, I pass it along. Some of the businesses obviously are more savvy than others, especially with this additional funding that's been coming through. Some just rely on their accountants to take care of things or their attorney. And then others don't really know as much. So they needed a little bit more hand-holding, which is fine. I feel that that's what we're there for. So it really, even though they're all small businesses, some have been around longer and know the ropes, and some are newer.
I was just thinking more too along the lines of like Greg's point with reopening, in the fall and getting into
Yes.
the winter, are there strategies that folks can talk to in real time, and a forum for businesses to connect and be able to share some of their ideas and, and ask questions of some of the, the public health officials of how do we do this safely?
Yes.
Are those some of those forums that exist? Yeah.
We have we were having regular weekly meetings with the Commissioner of Economic Development for the state every Monday, and we haven't had one in a few weeks, but we're scheduled to have one soon. And all of the links are provided to us as far as what you just mentioned, getting assistance. And I've been, again, sharing all of that. But if you only have, I don't know how many emails I have, just say 100, and there's 300, 400, 500 businesses, there's only a small portion that we're sharing the info with. We even got funding came down through the state recently for the farming industry and the agricultural. And I did forward those to all of the farms in town. Some knew about it and some didn't, but they were all provided with information from our office.
Is there anything in the governor's office that we might be able to call and find out if there is a certain place where these businesses can go?
Well, do you remember Jimmy Hicks?
Yep.
He works for the state office. He every single day, well, not as much lately, but almost every single day, he sends us information, the latest information that he receives. And if it's something that's not repetitive, I'm sharing that with the business owners. So if there's anything new that comes out, I think we're waiting right now to see if Congress is going to approve any additional funding, which we haven't heard the final word on that yet.
Mhm.
And that would be a big help, because I think these business owners, you're going to see more and more needing assistance because the other funding has dried up and the unemployment has dried up. And
With the federal executive order by the president, did that help any small businesses or with that, or is that mostly just for individuals who are unemployed?
I believe that was just for the unemployed. It was going to go from 600 to 400 additional per week.
Okay.
And I don't know if the part about paying for that through the local government and Social Security is even part of it.
Okay. Because I know it was 25% was up to the states to pay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's been approved.
Okay. I know, and part of this too is like people are so focused on reopening schools. I work for a school district, so it's like that's a huge distraction right now. But once that calms down and schools are finally in session in some shape or form, I think the focus is going to be back on not school shopping, but
Right.
patronage within their town.
Exactly.
So
Which will also have a great impact on
Yeah.
businesses, because school shopping is a huge deal.
Right.
Lots of money spent.
Yep. Mhm.
Just for a pair of sneakers is over $100.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. All right. Winter season. I think this is all looped into the same. I think we kind of answered that question in the, well, not really answered the question, but talked about it, especially for rolling back faces and what resources we can give them. And what we can do to help. I think, if we can get that information, I think it'd be good for us, to calling is great. And but I think just even stopping by, and if there's like a little cafe and get a cup of coffee and just talk to the business owners, I have no problem. I kind of want to do it. Actually, I really want to do it. I think it's a good thing for us to do, to say who we are and
Mhm.
get more out there. I mean, they can see us on Channel 22. Shameless plug for GTV, but they can they can see us here. But I think us being in the flesh and saying, showing that we are here to help, I think would be great for us to do.
Most of the businesses continue to be open, like Ace Hardware, the
Yeah.
hardware store in Bernardville. They have never closed.
Right.
Some are requiring masks, which is fine. And some of like Apotheca just recently opened their doors to the public, but you can't sit inside. You can buy your goods and sit outside, or that's for the flower portion. You could buy whatever's in the flower store. If you want something to drink, you go to the window and you sit outside. So they've all made various accommodations to make it work. Like you say, I think the hardest hit will be the restaurants when it gets colder, and they do have to figure out what they're going to do. When I was out west, there was, outdoor seating was a big thing, even when it got cooler at night. And they all had those giant propane heaters. I
Yeah.
haven't seen any here yet, hoping that they will use those because that will give them at least a little bit more time before it dips into the colder weather.
I mean, I'm really worried about the winter time
Yeah,
with these businesses. Like that's going to be I think the hardest part. When we look at Mikado, like you said, shut down. They haven't, and that's
right,
during the summer.
right.
So can we just, you can just imagine what the late fall and winter is and early spring is gonna look like for them.
Yeah, not good.
No. All right.
Hey, Greg?
Large,
On a positive note, the restaurants in Bernardville area have all been pretty busy, even for
Yeah.
our seating. And everybody's being careful about it, patrons and business owners. So that's a promising sign. And
I
I'm glad
agree.
some of them made it through, and hopefully we can. But you're right, winter is. We didn't have to go through a winter really, because
No.
it's around St. Patrick's Day. So to think about that, it's definitely a big concern.
I attended a webinar this past week about the restaurants and how they're struggling, not just in Goffstown, but all over the state. And there were a few restaurant owners there, and they were saying how the public doesn't understand all that they have to go through just to make this portion work. Like they can't have salt and pepper shakers on the tables any longer. Everything has to be scrubbed down. I mean, there's lots and lots that go into this behind the scenes that you don't even know that it's happening.
Right.
And they are very worried. There doesn't seem to be that any of them have a solid plan on what to do once the winter comes.
They're just probably just going to be a takeout only type of place, and
Yeah,
I think that's when we have to encourage our our fellow Goffstonians to do more takeout for the local restaurants.
Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything we can do, EDC can do, to support the Shop Small Saturday across the whole town, to encourage people to go out and patronize all our stores?
I think social media, I think a TV presence. I don't know about commercials, but maybe if there's like a scrolling banner, we can do. We have town halls. We have the town hall that can be posted stuff there. I think there are things that we can do that what doesn't cost this committee a lot of money. I think us promoting it through our means that we have, or the tools that we have, would be a good strategy.
Craig, if there's any businesses along, let's say Bernardville, the village, that route on Mass Road. Any that have the signs that have the changing letters, perhaps they might even want to advertise it.
That's a good
in
idea too.
advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
I'd
can
have to
certainly
take
get,
a
we
ride down there to see, but
might even be able to get some help from Rotary and maybe even the Lions Club and
Mhm.
see if
And
we
when
can
Small
get
Business
everybody to
Saturday?
join in.
When Small Business Saturday?
It's not until the Saturday of Thanksgiving, right after
Okay.
Thanksgiving. So we have
Okay.
some
So
time.
we have time. Okay, good.
Is there
That's- we have
typically a social media, I don't know, like
Presence.
advertisement that whoever is organizing that develops that we could help, share and distribute just on our own social media accounts and tagging various folks? Is there something that they come up with typically each year?
No, the only thing we did in the past was small business. They called it Small Business Saturday. And it was basically started out by the Main Street program. And there's American Express has like templates that you can use for various, whether it be on electronic means or, paper flyers or whatever. That's basically what we did a few years ago. And then last year at Christmas time, or no, it started at the Pumpkin Fest. They had, they called it a passport for savings. But that was difficult. They were selling it for $10 and then the businesses that participated gave a discount for their goods. I think we need to just get people in the doors of the businesses and not try and sell anything.
Yeah, because we're going to be careful.
Especially, I'm not talking about Main Street, but I'm talking about this group because we can't really get into the business of selling gift cards and things like that.
Okay. I think, Chet, I think you're next on the select board updates.
So that's just an ongoing item that's been continued on the agenda so that we don't forget about it. If you want me to remove it from the next meeting, I can do that.
No, that's fine. I don't know if Chet has anything else if he wants to talk
No,
about.
I think it's important to keep it on the agenda to remind ourselves.
Okay.
But I do want to say that I think Greg was on point with our focus being on how can we help the businesses in the here and now. I also remember many times the debate on whether or not we focus on certain businesses. And when business is normal and capitalism is working as it should, I have zero issues with our original plan of we're going to focus on these businesses and we're going to be transparent about when we're going to focus on these businesses. But right now, whichever businesses we focus on first, could potentially have an advantage over others. And that's not the point of this committee. We're here to help all. The one thing I will say that I think we might be able to do that we were talking about earlier, I just wanted to wait until I was, on the agenda to say it. We're a tight-knit community of a lot of really good people. And nobody, even businesses that compete with each other, no one really wants to see another business go out of, lose their livelihoods. And so I know that you mentioned takeout. Restaurants are probably the number one hotspot for businesses in Goffstown, I would say. And so one thing I think we might be able to do is some of the businesses when this first hit did a pretty good job of getting out there and sustaining, at a level that could allow them to continue. I wonder, I don't want to mention any businesses in a public meeting by name, but I will say that I do wonder if we could approach some of them and ask about some best practices and if they would allow us to share that. We're not looking for a lot of sort of insider knowledge about their day-to-day. We're looking specifically for what has worked for you during this crisis, especially when it's getting cold out. And I think we all know, we could probably think off the top of our heads of a couple of businesses that we could approach. And then if we could share that as an economic development council and really hit the pavement, as Greg said, one way or another, or do a mailer that says, these are some best practices that have worked for these other businesses. I think that might be something, it's small, but something we could actually do that's tangible that could be helpful. And that's my 2 cents on that. But I don't think that right now is the best time for the unfortunately the sector. I think we keep it on the agenda, but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get back to that at some point in the future.
I think too, just going off what Chet said, we want all businesses to do well, because if we have businesses close down, businesses drive more businesses, and that drives more business. I don't know. It's like if you have a place that closes down and you're shopping in a little shop, well, you may want to get a coffee or some baked good next door because you're there. We don't want that to go away. And this is a time that we're going to see where we're really strong or really fragile as a community. So to make this happen.
Great.
So
Greg, I have a question. Would it be helpful if we go out to some of there's several Goffstown Facebook pages, not just the town page. Would it be helpful to go out and say, do you know of a small business? Have them contact Joanne, have them contact one of us, so that we can get their information, whether it's the little drywall guy or whether, if we put it out on some of the Facebook pages, we might be able to gather some of that information, and it probably would be pretty helpful to us.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I think we have a lot of ideas coming right now. I don't know how we feel about forming subcommittees just to tackle some things because it's great that we meet and talk about these things, but I think just some action to do this moving forward, through some committees and then coming back would be best for us to do this. So we can talk about what subcommittees we want, moving forward, but I think just doing that and then formulating a plan and then reporting back to the group would be best, because I think we got a lot of momentum going right now, but it usually halts at the end of the meeting, and then we talk about it for the next month. So
that was going to be my question. That was going to be my question too, Greg. Of what are we actually going to put together? And I think having, like Bonnie had said, like having a list of all of the businesses, and if we can kind of divvy up and divide and conquer, if we come up with a set list of questions, so I think really figuring out what are their apprehensive points coming up into the fall, and then like Chet said, what have you been doing? What are your best practices? And if we can aggregate all of that information back together, I think that'll really give us an idea of what are our high value options that we should target as a group.
Yeah, I agree.
I can start that by sending it out to the list that I currently have just to get a jump start. In the meantime, we'll update the list, but
I think it's a good idea to send out the list, and then even just going out, if we team up and go out and actually visit the businesses, so they, some of them hopefully would have had the list and have seen it, and I saw that come through. I've been thinking about it. Here's this, and then for us to be able to really make the personal connections there too. Being there, I think we'll take it the extra mile, and I'm definitely willing to jump into this, and I think it would be kind of an exciting project for us.
I think also the other thing too is I think it would be good for us to receive, Joanne, what you send out, so that we're aware that if we go into a business and I go into like the gas station, or I go someplace and I'll say, oh, I'm from the economic development. Did the owner receive this information? And if not, I'd be happy to send it. Can you give me the email address? I mean, that way we can start building that list. I mean, we really need to start doing that so we know who we've got there in the community, because there's so many little businesses out there.
Yes, there are.
I agree.
I have one last thing I want to add to that. It's more for Joanne and I, but I want to say it before I forget. There has been historically we've had some trouble as a council getting out there on social media because of some of the policies that exist, and in some cases those policies exist for very good reason. But this was pre-COVID. So one of the, sending things out to the businesses that currently exist is a wonderful thing. I also wonder, Joanne, and you and I can talk later about this, but I'm saying it out loud here, about really discussing Economic Development Council Facebook page where we can put on, do you have a small business in Goffstown? There's a number of Facebook pages dedicated to Goffstown. At this point, I think it is really critical that we have that ability to reach out to those small online communities and get some feedback. do you have a business? What is your contact information? And you get some really, we can get some data points that we desperately need if we are able to do that. So I'll tell the committee here that I will work with Joanne and Derek on revising some of that. It, as with anything that involves any sort of, small government, it takes a little bit of time, but I think now is the time to start that conversation. So I'm just throwing that out there now. Thank you.
Excellent. This is exciting. All right.
So Chet, so are you saying for us not to go out to a Facebook page just yet, is what you're saying? Do I hear you correctly? No, I can
No,
do that.
as individual members of the Economic Development Council, go out there and get it done. Do as much as you can. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that clarifying question.
Yeah.
I am saying that I think that we can add some, what I'm trying to I'm trying to operationalize it so that Joanne can do something on her own where she can get the information directly back to her and implement it into our larger database. Right now, we're not able. I'm not saying we can't do it, but right now it's a little bit more difficult. I'm going to work with Joanne to streamline that process. But you, as individual community members and on the council, go for it.
Got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You got it.
I'll be on there tonight.
I found that it seems it's a little bit easier to go to their Facebook page to look up their phone number and if they have their email versus their website, because the website is not always up to date. Sometimes I do look at both, but I find that the Facebook is a little bit more updated on a regular basis. And then some don't have a Facebook. You just have to use the website.
All right. Let's see. So CGI, I saw this email come through earlier. Do you want to just touch on that, Joanne?
Yeah, so Derek received information from this company, CGI, and he was wondering if the EDC would like to promote it. And basically, the company would sign a 3-year contract with the town to complete the following. I'm reading from the email. Produce videos promoting the town for free, which can be used on the website and Facebook page, which would consist of a welcome video, quality of life, business and industry, community organizations, etc. And there was a sample video in the email that was sent. The video production company then reaches out, once the contract is signed with the town, they reach out to the local businesses and they see if they're interested in either becoming a sponsor, which would then include a logo of their business on all of the information that is normally sent out and on the videos that they put together. The price range is $500 for the business owners, is $500 to $5,000. The sample videos that they sent us, one was from Wyoming, Indiana, Minnesota, one is from Littleton, New Hampshire, and the other is from Dayton, Ohio. And I looked at it and it it's pretty good. It goes around and shows the town and shows what's happening. There's different categories. Like I said, there's so many videos that they do. One would consist of the subjects that I just read off. There's no cost to the town other than signing off on the contract. There is that commitment. And then it would be up to the company to make the arrangements. But the town would send out a letter to the business owners. Basically, it would say the town has excited to announce the new partnership with CGI Communications, creating a series of professional produced videos to highlight everything the town has to offer to residents, visitors, business owners. With an easily viewable interface on the official Goffstown page, the video tour, and it goes on. The program presents unique opportunities for the business community in today's environment. We are dedicated to highlighting the advantages, blah, blah, blah. And then they try to sell them space or whatever. So Derek wanted to know if he should bother to pursue something like this. He first wanted to check with the EDC to see if he thinks it would be a good thing or not. I think this is similar to what Jeremy Jones was going to do with Adam McCune, and then everybody became busy. I'm just somewhat worried about the timing of it and whether the businesses would have any additional funding to do this at this point in time.
Joanne, I was a little confused too as to the video program, the contract that they sent. During the terms of the agreement, CGI shall produce a tour of 4 video chapters with subject matter include but not limited to welcome and 3 additional videos of your choice. So is that for the town or is that included for the business?
No, that's strictly for the town. And then those videos would be included on our website. And if the businesses decided to participate, for however, I don't know what the price range is, but they could have, like, if you looked at one of the videos, you would see it at the end and in the beginning, there are the logos from certain businesses. That's one of the things they could buy into. Not sure what the others would be, but it would be some sort of advertising for them. And then they would then possibly have a video to put on their website that they sponsored. And that's probably the higher cost. And I'm not sure if businesses would be willing to do this right now. Maybe some would, if they're doing very well and they're busy. I don't know. But Derek's just looking for some advice.
Yeah, my concern for this was it doesn't really tell us what they get, what our businesses get. So I was really a little concerned. So they get their logo on the video that comes to the town, but then they also can pay to have another video done for their business. And I didn't think it was really clear when I read through it. Some businesses may want to do this because it might generate some more business for them right now. But I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I read through it all and it just wasn't real clear.
Yeah, so I would say it sounds like what they're asking the town for is an endorsement, which gives them a hunting license to go to all of our businesses and offer their services. But the businesses, they've probably found over time that when the town itself says, hey, this company's legit, they probably have a much easier time getting a business to buy in. So I certainly will not give it like an up or down right now that we should endorse it, but I would love to see Joanne and everyone else, please chime in. But if you can find out from the person that does a job similar to yours in Littleton, who've already decided to have a video from them, what their experience is. My original, less cynical, less critical side goes, there's not a whole lot to lose here. We're gonna send out a letter, and the businesses are gonna have the option, and they don't have to do it. So I don't see a huge downside, but I would love to know from Littleton what their experience was. And you always wonder when a business offers something to a town for free, what's that all about, and what's the business model behind it? So those are my thoughts.
And the downside I see is just, are we going to hit every business? So one business gets it and another person doesn't in the town because our list isn't complete. That's the only downside really I can see. But I agree with you. I'd like to see what Littleton has done.
The email.
Chime in?
Go ahead. Ellen?
Oh, thank you. Is this something that we could speak with GTV about? If having a video on the town's Facebook or website is something that GTV could produce for us? And same with the businesses. They could have a spot on the town site and advertise themselves that way.
We were going to do that, Ellen, about maybe a year and a half or 2 ago. But it just never got off the ground because Adam is very busy and he was shorthanded for quite a while. So it never just
could approach them again, maybe.
We could. I can't speak for Adam. I don't know what his workload is at the moment, but we could. If I can just interject, the email that I received where it says price range 500 to 5,000. It says simple as link to business website. In other words, link the video to their business website, or as complex as a 90-second video produced by the company. So I would guess that that's at the $5,000 range, 90-second video. But I will definitely contact Littleton and talk to them up there and find out how it's going and whether it's worth it.
Okay.
And maybe instead of waiting another month, I can just send out an email to everyone. And we can't have a discussion back and forth, but if you email direct to me, then I could email back. Like, we just can't have like a discussion of everyone, because that would be in violation of the right to know. law.
Could you check with Adam as well to see if this is something
sure,
GTV could
sure.
be doing? Thank
I
you.
will do that.
So before, certainly check with Adam, but this was something I recall that they had wanted to do before. And I think that the changes in the landscape, if you will, it really kind of put the kibosh on that. Is that accurate, Joanne?
Yes, if you remember Jeremy Jones, who was, Charlie had talked to him several times. Jeremy owned 603 Drones, and they were going to have him work with Adam. And then it just never materialized. Charlie was ending his term at that point, and the whole thing just never came to be, and everybody just was busy and kind of went their other ways. We have had a request from Jeremy to join one of our boards, and he put down several different boards, and his first pick was the EDC. So I encourage Catherine to steer him that way. I think he would be a great asset to this board or council. Keep calling it a board. So anyway, I will double check on that, and I will email you the results so we don't wait another month. The other two things real quick is I also received information on another grant called Main Street America, a Heartbeat of Main Street grant, which is a national grant program. The deadline for applying was April 23rd. It was for those businesses that would have been considered to be on the main drag of the town, which also would include the Bernardville, Mass Road businesses. I did send this out to many of the businesses within that section of town, and spoke with a few of them directly as far as explaining about how the grant would work. There were several restrictions with this grant, but it sounded like a few of the local businesses would really fit in. It was women-oriented owned businesses, and it had the historic aspect of it. So there were a few properties that would definitely meet the criteria. So hopefully at least one of our Goffstown businesses would get this grant. The amount of the grant would be $5,000 to $15,000. So that's another one. And the last item I had was sent out an email a few times. The select board is trying to put together the Village Piscataquag River Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee. It's a mouthful. You probably know more about this than I do, Chet, but they are looking for a member from the EDC.
You're
You're
muted, Chet.
muted. You're muted.
Yeah. I'm willing to do it, but I
did the
already put my name in for Main Street.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want one person representing two different things.
I don't think the rules of the committee would allow that, but I appreciate that, though. I would do it, of course, as well, but I cannot, being a select board member. I think this is one of the most important projects that this town is facing, period, as it relates to economic development. So if someone can volunteer from here to be on that, that would be amazing. Joanne, do you recall what time, did they have a plan on what time they're going to meet and what day?
Yeah, what is the time commitment too?
So this just says that the volunteer application is due by 9/9/, And the selectmen will be reviewing it on 9/14. And that let's see. It doesn't say anything about, it's the committee would be in existence for 1 year. I don't think that means it would take that long, but they would be in existence. And they would present their report by August of 2021. Normally, I've been on a lot of committees in the past for towns, and normally they wait till the group gets together and then they decide the
Makes sense.
day, the time, that kind of thing, and they elect a chair. So this doesn't have any definite rules to follow as far as that goes. So I would assume they would probably do the same thing.
Well, I'll volunteer for that. If that's, I'll be happy to volunteer. Nice
Okay.
go, Jack.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I will let them know. Thank you.
I knew you
They
were
may
waiting
want
for
you-
that.
They may want to hear from you directly, Bonnie, because there is a volunteer application. Do you want me to resend this to you so it has the link to the
Yes, please.
application?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
sure.
I'll fill it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Joanne, while we're talking about the bridge, is there any developments at Factory Street with the renovation there, or still on hold?
So they recently came into the planning board, their 1 year extension. So when someone receives planning board approval, it's typically conditional approval, which is what they had. And that conditional approval is good for 1 year. And if they haven't met those conditions, they ask for an extension, which they did again, and it was approved just about a month ago, or maybe it was July. So we have heard from a party with several people involved. They've been doing the kind of a due diligence study. They've met with staff. They've had lots of questions. We've directed them to different parties within the state as far as the dam goes. And we're just kind of waiting for them to do their background checks, but it does seem to be that they're very interested. And the apartment building on Bog Road just went through something similar. There's an interested party in purchasing, and they're in the process of getting their funding, and that has a year's extension as well. So it's just been tough for certain types of projects, especially large residential multifamily, to obtain funding, even
Joanne?
before the COVID.
Joanne, has the school district been informed of the Bog Road one?
Yes, Patty always sends out a request. I believe it usually goes to Scott whenever we have residential come in for the planning board review.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joanne, was that included in your director update right there?
Yes.
Okay. Ellen, did you want to talk about Penardville beautification?
There really is nothing followed up with that one. I
Okay.
suggest to the people that had an interest, they get a small group together of residents and businesses, and to my knowledge, I haven't heard anything back about that. The other topic I had raised was road work in the Penardville area of Goffstown. I did follow up on that with DPW, and there's a road plan for next year that seems to have a lot of many streets in Penardville that really need work. I don't know what will become of that. I know we, as EDC, was concerned, certainly roads in any area of our town, good roads would help our businesses. And I know apparently the road plan does include Penardville residential roads that are in pretty bad shape right now. So hopefully something will be able to be done over there.
Yeah, I can quickly follow up very quickly. The road plan, as we know, with the pandemic and everything, you know, what's still on course and what is not. The road plan is still on course. Everything seems to be going fine there. because I saw Ellen, I saw the response from Adam as well that spoke to those roads, and that plan still seems to be intact, which is really good news.
Good. Okay, so it's a matter of budgeting, keeping it moving forward.
Absolutely.
Well, does anybody else want to talk about anything before we move towards adjourning? No? Okay. Does anybody want a
Motion to
motion?
adjourn.
All right. Do I have a second of that motion?
Ellen,
All right. So,
no second.
okay. Ellen seconds. Gail?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Chet? Bonnie already went. Ellen motion. Joanne?
Yes.
All right. Motion. Mark?
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay
look
well,
forward to-
everyone.
Yeah, I look forward to
Thank
doing some
you,
work,
too.
this month so we can get ready for these businesses for preparation for the winter.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much,
All right.
Greg. Thanks.
All right.